Hey, Vinyl Community, Jeff back again. While I'm on a roll here making videos, I figure I'd go ahead and knock this one out. These are some new releases that I have gotten in the past like couple weeks. Some of these go back to maybe as far back as last summer. Some of these are a little newer release, but they weren't things that I immediately jumped on. But in one of them is, and but they are, well, actually two of these are. But yeah, so anyway, these are things that in recent weeks I, one way or another, have found decent prices on and have picked them up. The first one is a brand new one. It was pre-ordered a couple weeks back, or probably a couple months back. This one just came in from Girder Music. One Love Revolution by Pillar. Now, I believe all of these bands in this particular set are bands that are going to be more in line with the Christian hard rock and metal scene. So they may not be as familiar to a majority of you out there who are not into that, but now you know a little more. And I probably could just wait until I hit these bands in my A to Z's of Christian rock series, but these are brand new releases. Pillar was one of the early bands that came out of that whole Linkin Park type sound, the rap rock sound of the, you know, of that time frame. What is that? I guess that was the 90s, late 90s. I remember discovering them. They had a couple hits with in the mainstream market with their album Fireproof. They were on some of the extreme sports type things, I believe, maybe some video game type things. But Fireproof was the one that kind of did some crossover for them. I discovered them when Fireproof came out, and I found them in a Christian bookstore, and I listened to them. They used to have their listening stations. Immediately blown away. I grabbed that in the first album. First album, way more rap rocky. Second album, Fireproof, is definitely more hard edged, and then the way his vocal styles are, it comes across as kind of a spoken word, occasional rap. But the first album was very much more of a hip hop feel to it, with hard rocking guitars on the back. This is their absolute final, or their last album. Came out in 2015, and yeah, first time on vinyl. I don't think any of their stuff's on vinyl actually, so this is the first one of theirs on vinyl. I don't know. I'm hoping that Girder is starting at the end and going forward, because I really would like to get the few albums prior to this. You know, I'd like to get all of them on vinyl at some point. But there you go. So this is their, and they did an album, and then a handful of years later, I mean, they disappeared, and a handful of years later, they came back with this. So this was almost like I don't want to call it a reunion album, but it felt like a while between the two. But yeah, so this came out, great stuff. It is on a splatter, pretty splatter. I also did pick it up on CD because it was a combo pack. The CD, both CD and or the vinyl has one bonus track, and the CD has two bonus tracks. Comes with a card, which has a similar picture to that on the card. I'm not going to pull it all out, but it's got the typical stuff that they've been doing with the Girder releases, with the trading cards and all that stuff. Great stuff, great packaging, and great album. And like I said, hopefully now they'll continue with albums prior to this. Yeah, so Pillar. Funny, not funny, the guitar player Noah in Pillar, the band Pillar, I believe, are from North Carolina, which is a state below me. But the guitar player Noah, at the time, he's now in Tennessee, probably Nashville, doing all kinds of musical stuff. But at the time of the Pillar days, they were in North Carolina. Anyway, his uncle has been in a band with me in Hemo Theory back in the day. So little connection. He's like, yeah, my nephew is the guy in Pillar. I'm like, oh, cute. Never met him, never met Pillar. No connection there, just the fact that they were related, and so that was kind of cool. All right, I thought I had shown this, but I'm thinking I just mentioned it to somebody in the chat. I mean, in one of my comments. But Ritual Servant, maybe I did show it. If I did, excuse me. I know that I've shown the fact that all four of the singles came out for this, and I thought that was going to be the vinyl release. They were releasing a 7-inch single, 2 tracks. They released 4 of them for 8 tracks. I thought that's the vinyl. Then it came out on CD, which I did show the CD. And then they dropped the vinyl on us also, which has all 8 songs on one album. So now I've got 4 7-inches, and I've got the actual album on vinyl format. It's white, insert with lyrics, all the standard stuff that these releases have. I don't know how to describe these guys. They're rough and gruff. but they're not really. I guess they'd sort of be thrashy. I'm sure that kids these days would call it some other subgenre. I consider it kind of. It's not too extreme, but it's heavy, and the guy's got a scratchy, rough voice, and it's got some thrashy elements. I like it. I don't know what I call it, but I like it. That's what I'm gonna have to say. All right, this is one, and I forget exactly how I got this. It was some kind of a discount, because this is from Alterium Records, and their stuff is overseas and it's not the cheapest. But Undivided by Signum Regis. I've got a lot of Signum Regis on CD and digital. This is the first time I've got any of their stuff on vinyl. Somehow the price dropped. It's an import. I think, where's this band from? Italy or something. I don't know. I discovered them years ago because they've had guest appearances by other people on their albums, which attracted my attention to them. Matt from Theocracy was one of their early albums, and I didn't know a lot about them, and then that's when I started seeing a lot of other Christian metal people working with them on their albums and their themes and stuff like that. And then I've been following them since then. And this is their most recent album, and I believe this came out on vinyl real recently. Maybe this was the one that came out in November. I don't know, within a couple months. And I've had my eye on it, but was this one of the Amazon price drops? I don't know. And there's various colors of this, but I grabbed that. Melodic power metal of the day, that you would, the Euro metal feel and sound that you would find on all of the different types of bands over there. It's but they're great stuff. So grab that. That was great. And in mentioning Matt Smith from Theocracy, I finally picked up the Theocracy. This is probably one of the older of the batch, because this came out like in October or so. And I've been hearing all of my friends rave about how great it is, and I'm like, I gotta get it. Prices never drop, and I think it's another one that's on Alterium Records. But nope, Atomic Fire Records. I guess they got picked up. They used to be on Alterium Records. Atomic Fire. It's a double record set. They're both vinyl colors are different. One's a clear smoke, and one is a darker, still smoky, but dark. One's like black smoke, and one's like clear smoke, I think is what they're calling it. Oh, there it is. Clear and black melt. Anyway, straight up power metal. If you're not familiar with them, I've got all their albums and stuff, and great stuff. Just they're from Georgia, I believe, just not too far below me. And back in the day, it was a one-man band, and I remember contacting Matt and saying, man, if I lived close to you, I would love to join your band on drums, because it's the kind of music. But they've put together full bands, and they've been going for years now. And there was a handful of years since the last album, and then this one they come back with. So I put it on, and like the first song reminds me a lot of like a Dragon Force type band. Lots of just high speed, but it's not like that the whole time through. Dragon Force, after a couple songs, I get fatigued, and so they're not like that. But I just noticed the first song was just like full force, and then after that they do all kinds of great stuff. So great album. Knew I was going to pick it up. Ended up getting a coupon, which saved me a handful of dollars on that, so I grabbed it. And this is one where I thought I was going to miss it, because like the one of the other bands out there that I hesitated on vinyl and then it disappeared, I thought this was going that route. And then all of a sudden, Amazon dropped the price like in half. And that's rated R by the band Red, another modern new metal, new hard rock, I don't know what you want to call them, in the Christian realm. They have really great melodic vocals, and then the guy starts screaming, and it drives my wife crazy. She's like, I don't like them, they scream too much. But they've got songs that are not so screamy, and then they got songs that are screamy. It's just, harsher vocals, but I really enjoy it. And the earlier stuff used to have a lot of orchestration, and after a while, to me, that started getting a little tired. Then they released an album, released the Panic. They released an album that had none of that, and that's like my favorite album. But everybody rebelled against that, and they're like, no, it doesn't sound like Red. So they redid the album with orchestration, and then the next album returned to the orchestrated sound. Well, this album, and I think the last album, has a lot less of that. It is straightforward, and I really, really do like it. So yeah, great stuff. They're very much sound like themselves, but they've changed a little bit without all the orchestration and stuff. So anyway, yeah, great stuff. Yeah, Like I said, this one's probably from last summer, so this is the oldest one. I was afraid it was going to get away from me, but all of a sudden it literally dropped halfway in price and I grabbed it. So there you go. Handful of new releases. In this case, they happen to all be of the Christian hard rock realm. Check them out. Look up the bands. I'm sure you'll dig them musically still. And I will see you later. Rock on and rock hard.